Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube video. This is Dr. Song. This is the quantitative research method course for undergraduate level. But today I prepared something special so that we can review the more advanced approaches. It's not only about the four tests I introduced the previous sessions, chi-square, t-test, and correlation regression. So now in this session, you can see and then you can have a kind of idea what kind of more advanced approaches exist. And normally these are covered in graduate level. So if you are interested in continuing your study in a quantitative research method, it will be very helpful. So I took the course content of my course content from these courses. So these are the references. These courses were given in the University of Ottawa in Canada. Okay, sorry. So the very first thing is the logistic regression. Logistic regression has the three kinds. The first one is the multinomial and also the ordinal regression, or the ordinal logistic regression, and also you have the binary logistic regression. So these three things are distinguished because the not like simple regression, you have an independent variable, continuous variable, and then dependent variable is a categorical. This is the difference of the logistic regression. And then the regression means that we want to predict the result. So dependent variable, how that changes according to the independent variable. But in this regression, in this kind of regression, you will find the what is the choice of the your categorical variable. So, for instance, here, does the frequency of social media use predict the preferred social media platform? So you will know the result of the which one among the different social media platforms, which one will be chosen according to the frequency of social media use. So we will find the result as a categorical option. It's not with the amount. So the simple regression, we saw that that is calculated. So we will know exactly with the continuous variables, so the number, how that will be changed. But in the logistic regression, we will find the option as a category. So the first one is a multinomial. That means that exactly like this question, you have the six kinds of the different nominal choices in the categories, and this is a nominal variable. So in this case, you can say that you are using the logistic multinomial regression. And then we have the very frequently used, that is a binary logistic regression. So this you can see that this analysis is very much used in the medical sector. So when you want to launch the medication, you want to know if you can launch or not. So just the yes and no question, yes and no dependent variable. So that is a dummy. We call that dummy, but it's a dichotomous variable. So according to the independent variable condition, if it values the launching the product or not, that is yes and no. In the medical sector, but also the campaign or in the marketing, they also can use this. If the new strategy, new marketing, it deserves be launched or not, you can use the binary logistic. So the probability of the event to occur or not. Yeah, so that's why it's a yes and no. And it predicts a single outcome, yes and no, based on the one or more factors. And then it can be used to make a decision. Yeah, so that is what I already explained. You can make a decision with the campaign, policy, strategy, and etc. And then you have I didn't write it here, but you have the ordinal logistic regression. That is a bit different from the multinomial. When you choose the ordinal logistic regression, there will be the degree of the high and low in your dependent variable. So you can see here the dependent variable. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. There is no like a degree of the high or low. However, when these independent variable that becomes that uh, education is high education or middle education or lower education, and then you can put the rank. So when you can put the rank in your dependent variable, that we can do the ordinal logistic regression. So that is just a bit different from the multinomial. And then we have ANOVA. So the ANOVA test, in fact, that is covered very often in undergraduate level. So ANOVA and then t-test, because the ANOVA test is similar to the t-test as a concept. So that is covered also. But ANOVA can be treated in the graduate level with the more explanation. So maybe it's good to use the curriculum for the ANOVA test in the graduate level. That is my opinion. Okay, so let's see what ANOVA test is. So analysis of variance. In fact, that is very similar to t-test. So you can consider that is a categorical variable, and then that is a predictor, and then the continuous variable. That is a dependent variable. So you can see this form in the t-test. In t-test, you have the categorical variable is the same, but you have the only two categories. But in the ANOVA, only one thing is different. That is that they have the more than two categories. It's a 3 or 4 or 5. And then dependent variable is continuous. So does the program of study, communication, public relation, journalism influence the total number of people follow on Instagram? So this total number that becomes a continuous variable. And then the independent variable is the what kind of study you do, communication or public relation and journalism. But if you have the only communication and the public relation and the no journalism, that becomes only two categories. So you can proceed with the t-test, independent t-test. But as you have the more than two categories, and then you can go for ANOVA test. ANOVA test is a bit particular because the t-test you can compare the continuous variable, dependent variable, how they are different average. The average of the first category and the second category, and then you compare their means, and then you can say that there is a big difference between the two, and you can say that there is a significant difference. However, ANOVA test, they don't compare the between. So I will show you what is. So when you have the three categories, first you can compare with the 1 and 2, and then 1, 3, and then 2, 3. This is the most options you can compare with the two options. So in this case, what happens is that increase the type 1 error, which means that this way of the comparison increase the more significance. So even though there is not significant, the result significant difference, by this way, you can increase the possibility to have the more significant mean difference. So you can make a type 1 error. So that's why we don't want this like exaggerated significance. We want to have the justified significance. So we will adopt the ANOVA test because that is a different approach. They don't compare between the two. So how they do? Analysis of the variance ANOVA that address the limitation of t-test, because the t-test that way, like this like a two comparison that increase the more type 1 error. So we will do the more than one dependent variable can be used when you have the more than one independent variable. So one is more than category, and that is an extension of the regression. So we use the general linear model. So why we use the general linear model, and then you can see here, I will explain with the diagram. But first, independent one-way ANOVA, the test determine whether three or more group means are different, means the average, where the groups are made of different people. Okay, and then independent variable, they are from the different people. As you saw before the example, communication and then politics and then journalism, they are different people in each subject. And then how they are different in the number of the Instagram posting. So that is an interval ratio because there is a number of posting. And then look at what it happens. So instead of the compare the means, like a t-test, what you do, uh, is like this here. When you put the grand mean, that means that the mean of the three different categories, how they have the postings, that is a grand mean. So according to the grand mean, how the each mean is far away. So that is the way of the ANOVA. That's why that is related to the general linear model. Because also the regression, they have the regression line, and then they calculate the how much the individual scores are far away. So it's the same concept. So the grand mean, and then you compare the first group and the second group and the third group. It's not between the groups. They don't compare the means of the groups, but from the grand mean, they compare the each mean of the group with the grand mean. That is a big difference with the t-test. So when you see the big difference, like not like between the two groups, that is not the way like a t-test. T-test is they are doing that, yeah, between the two different groups and the mean difference. They are watching the t-test. The t-test watching that, but in ANOVA again, they are watching the how much they are different from the grand mean. Yeah, so that is the mean of the dependent variable. Okay, and then you can see here the first that you use to obtain the sum of a square total, so that is a grand mean. Yeah, so that is a total variance. And then these are the sum of squares model, so that is the from the mean, the mean of the each category. They are how much different from the grand mean. That red line is a grand mean, so difference. And now we have to calculate also the error, because each individual score that must be close to the mean of the each group, or they can be very far away. So that kind of error also we have to take consideration, because your mean of the each category is very different from your individual score. That is a much more error. You cannot say anymore that is a mean of the category. So that's why. So these are exactly the same way like a regression test. That's why we call the ANOVA test. That is the general linear model. We have the grand mean here, and then we compare the other scores, considering the how much errors they occur. So yeah, so that's why ANOVA test has the same concept with the regression, and then ANOVA test is different from the like a t-test, compared between the two categories, their means. So yeah, so this is for today. I will continuously explaining about the other advanced approaches, but today you learned the ANOVA test, the analysis of variance, and also the different kind of the logistic regression. So thank you so much for your participation to this class. And then next time I will prepare the more advanced analysis, and then that will be the after 2 weeks, because I take my holidays, and then I will see you next time. Thank you so much, and then have a nice day today. And then please come to the next session to see the more advanced approaches. Thank you.